All right, this is totally amazing. I voluntarily agree to not indulge in any alcohol, drugs, or engage in any other illegal activity that may in any way jeopardize the years of hard work we as a team have committed to our goal of a championship season in '76.
Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
Well, may as well try and embrace the sunshine by watching a movie indoors. And watching a summer movie or summer themed movie.
Grease?
No, because it's one we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Although technically I'm not sure if I've seen it all the way through.
Grease?
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's a classic. How have you not?
I'd say that about a lot of... This
This is why we do the
certain
podcast,
bits.
Paul.
Well, we do have Grease 2 and we haven't seen that, so...
You have you own Grease too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that were a thing.
What? At all?
Yeah.
Huh.
What
Yeah.
happens?
I don't know.
Are the main people in it?
No.
Oh shit then, isn't it? So this is a teen thing then? Is this?
Yeah, so
I don't know why.
we're not going to be covering Grease or Grease 2 in this episode. We're going to be covering Dazed and Confused,
Okay.
which is a comedy film, but it's directed by Richard Linklater, who you'll know from directing the Before trilogy that we've covered past. So,
High expectations then.
questions. Yeah, like a drama dialogue,
I
kind
think
of
I'm
like
gonna like this.
relationships of that, like the connection with
When was it made?
1993.
Oh, I'd have been 1 year old.
Yes, that's right.
It's got that guy, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
I've just seen.
On the cast list, yeah. Ben Affleck.
I'm not sure I like Ben Affleck.
He was a bit of a joke for a while. I think he's sort of maybe pulled it back a little bit now, but...
Didn't he go out with Jennifer Lopez?
They were they married? Are they still married now? Because
He's
I
gone
always
back
thought
to her.
I thought they were married at one point and then they broke up, but then it turns out they were never married before, and then now they are.
They are now married. But didn't he go out with that woman, 13 going on 30 woman?
Jennifer Garner, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't she a lot more sweeter and cuter than JLo?
Jenny from the Block.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's, looking at the other list, there's probably people I sort of, I know from something else or whatever, but I'm not
It's like a massive casting.
It does, yeah. So, an ensemble, I guess, with that. So, yeah, no, it's something that I've sort of like wanted to see anyway. But I think it's more like, it seems like something you'd also gel with, I think, really.
It's got a 90s vibe already, just looking at like the front cover.
Yeah.
And it's got people I know, and I'm guessing it's like a high school drama. I don't know what's the...
Yeah, so it says, in a nutshell, what Google says, comical, carefree, and feel good.
Oh, well, that's down my street completely.
So,
Right, it's a 10, we don't even need to watch it. Right, we're done.
So it's the synopsis, very, encompassing description reads as, in 1976 Texas, a group of teenagers celebrate the last day of high school by chasing freshmen, partying at a local pool, indulging in drugs, and having a keg party.
I wouldn't want to be a part of that, but... Why is it... It's aged older than it actually is?
Yeah, set in a different type. It's not set in the 90s, it's the 70s. So,
Damn it. Down a point now. So, like, hippies.
Stoner kind of thing, yeah.
Scooby-Doo vibes.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like super bad comedy vibes, how...
When you said it, I was like, "Oh, do you mean it's not going to be super bad?"
No.
You mean the film super bad? I was like, I'm not sure what he's implying here. It should be fine.
No, I don't think it's going to be a super bad film at all.
Okay,
But,
that's fine then. I think I'll like it.
Yeah.
Thank you for picking a nice one.
it's all right.
Well, I say that now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But yeah, no, it's yeah. I sort of like long and hard about like what can encompasses sort of summer, and I feel like this probably is good.
Grease 2 would have worked too. Now thinking about it, since I didn't even know that was a thing. Summer dreams. See, you know.
Anyways,
shall we go watch it?
Yeah, let's go watch it.
Nice try, freshman. Tell you what, just for being such brave little kids, I'm only gonna give each of you 5 licks, okay? All right, grab a pole then, kid. Let's get going.
I don't think so, creep.
Mom!
Carl, get in the house.
Get in the house!
And you, get the hell off my property.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, ma'am. I was just escorting your fine young son home from school. There are some ruffians about, and I... Oh, and Mitch, Carl, we'll be seeing each other again.
And we are back, having watched Dazed and Confused. Did it leave you dazed and confused?
Well, there's lots of people, but no, I wasn't dazed and confused after watching it. It wasn't like, I always think if that's how I'd feel after a film, it's ended where...
Head scratcher type.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not that, is it?
No.
The story itself is quite... Well, there is a sort of semi-structural kind of happens like within the confines of like a day, going to a night evening party and the next morning type of thing. But in terms of actually like a real structured narrative and everything, it's quite loosey-goosey, isn't it? It's not really defined.
Yeah, the fact that now you've just said technically it is a day, like in a morning, really, is a bit strange to even think of it in that capacity. Like, but you're right, it is pretty much just the last day of school, roughly, like breaking up, then the evening of, and then waking up the next morning. That's literally it. Which there's lots of characters, but obviously it's a high school environment, so you would have a lot of people because that's just what school is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And you've got lots of interaction with, obviously it's American, so you've got your seniors, which I think that would be like year 12 for year 11 for us. Is it? Is it like, or are they higher? Are they like college? So is it like 18 seniors?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Obviously we're based in the UK, so the school system is slightly different, but as I believe Freshman is going into high school, whereas they're from junior high.
So that's like year 7.
Yeah, so equivalent of year 7.
Going into
upper school. Yeah.
Which is always scary. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Going from, I feel like year 6 going into year 7, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, from your first school to your grammar school. Yeah, upper school. Yeah, is quite daunting. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I think initially you're at your first school and you're the big fish of the pond. You're grown up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're the most mature class in the school and everything like that. You're at the top of your game. And then it's just like how life is, where then you're like, shit, I've gone into a massive pond and I'm now the tiny, tiny fish again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this is kind of showing is life in a weird about way. Do I agree with everything that happens in this film? No.
I think that obviously the parallels with what we know is obviously because this is obviously set in the States, the sort of traditions, as we'll say, seem quite almost alien in a way in some regards.
Well, yeah, and also I'm thinking, is it because it's the 70s
as well?
It's set in, so is it more acceptable?
Yeah,
I hope they don't do it now.
No, I don't know if that's still the case. If, in the 90s and onwards, if that was still kind of they're chasing people around with bats.
I think in the 90s they would have still got away with that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Probably the early 2000s they'd start questioning things a little bit more.
So that was a bit like, okay, right, yeah. I sort of had vague understanding that they kind of like, picked on the younger kids in that sense, for like hazing them a little bit. But what kind of took me back, though, I didn't realise it was the same for the girls as well. They had a bit of a similar kind of thing with.
Yeah, we did, but it wasn't too bad. I'd rather have what the girls had gone through than what the boys being whacked with a baseball bat.
Yeah, so it was more like different levels of thing. Obviously, for the boys more like a physical
Beating up.
humiliation as such,
Yeah.
and then the girls are more like a, I suppose, mental in a way, because obviously like, oh look at you, we're just dribbling ketchup, mayo, and flour and breadcrumbs and whatever all over you, and then you've got to then go up to some random guy and propose.
Yeah, I
And
didn't really like that scene.
Yeah, it's a bit like, oh yeah, putting women in their place kind of thing. Like it's like,
Especially in the 70s, I think it's one of those where, especially because we're so young and they're posing to senior people, and it's like, oh, I'll do anything you want, and I'm just like, oh, this makes us look so thick, and it just really annoys me.
I know that the fact that they're not wanting to do it, not like purposely, like, oh yeah, I want to do this. It's more like, but the humiliation of that.
And I think this morally doesn't fit well with me, this film, and that's my only thing that annoys me, because I'm going to go on my high horse, and I didn't expect I would.
Okay.
I've always been, ever since I've been a little girl, never really fit in with the crowd, never really people pleased to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this kind of annoys me, and I think if we had a child, I'd find this really hard. It's like, oh, well, they're doing it, I want to fit in, so I want to be cool, so I'm going to do weed, I'm going to drink, I'm going to stay up till late, I'm going to have to do all of this because these people...
Because society almost tells you to do so to fit in.
And these people are going to be like, either make or break me. To be honest, if you get bullied in high school, I think it's the best thing for you. Like, I know that sounds ridiculously stupid, but you're going to actually be so better off when it comes to actual real life. If you're going to be popular in high school, you're going to have a lot harder reality shock when you come out and you're not number one
you
for
graduate
everything.
And everything, yeah.
And I think for me, when I was in college and stuff, I didn't really go down that path. Like, not saying everyone, has to be like me. Like, I'm not saying that, but it's just something I didn't really want to participate in. And I think some of these were more, not because they really thought they wanted to, it was more like just a bit of peer pressure, thinking, well, if I don't do this and oblige, then...
I don't know, it never really came across that way, and I think everyone was kind of just, because of the 70s setting, it was kind of like open with that, though. The drug culture was very much...
But I feel like it was more like you've just turned from being a little teeny pop to now you're an adult in like the space of like a day.
Yeah.
Like, especially with Mitchell's character.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit like, it just because you're going into upper school doesn't mean like you can start kissing girls and like smoking a spliff, having a pint and staying out till 1 o'clock in the morning kind of thing. It's just, no. And I get it, and it's like, I know it's a film, so it's making a point, and it's like aimed in the 70s, and probably even in the 90s, they were like, oh yeah, do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, for me, it's just like the seniors are trying to take the freshmen under their wings a little bit. Like, they beat them up, and then
rubbing their heads kind of thing after the fact.
Yeah, and some of them will look after you.
Yeah.
If you've been participating.
And you've passed the test, as it were.
Yeah.
Like, oh, right, you've done the initiation of that, and now we'll hang out with you.
We had Pink, who took Mitch, basically, in. And then is it Jodie, I think is Mitch's sister.
Yeah.
She took the Sabrina girl in.
Yeah.
Under her wing. But then there was that other girl, I can't remember her name. And she said, oh, drop and give me 20 or whatever it was, like be...
Oh, yeah.
And she were like, I'm going to make your life a misery hell next year now because you haven't done that and you haven't obeyed me. Yeah. So there's certain bits where you're just like, why
some people like that? Or...
Yeah, and it's always a high school movie, isn't it? Where, like even Mean Girls, you've got this one person who's like Queen Bee, and if she hates you, then your life's just going to be shit. And it's like, who gives a crap about these people? Like, you do when you're in school, and it really annoys me because, like, now that I'm grown up, I'm like, I don't care. If you like me, you go on with your life. If you don't like me, it's one less person for me to worry about.
Yeah, I've probably said this before in similar episodes of like this nature of film, but when you have that age, that does mean everything to you, doesn't it? Like
so
your
pathetic.
status.
We are so pathetic at that age, and it's just like, and I know it's typical because when you're in that state of mind, it is the be all and end all.
Like, oh, like, am I ever going to like get a girl, or like no one's going to love me and that kind of stuff.
Life is so much bigger than that, and I think that's when I feel old now. Like there were another thing that got me go up.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, with when they were doing like the joyriding down the streets and then whacking the mailboxes and such.
And chucking the trash cans.
Yeah.
And I'm like, someone's going to have to clean that up.
And pay for that as well. It's property damage. But what I did like about that scene, though, where they sort of get the comeuppance in a way, it wasn't just like, oh, laugh it off and that was that. One of the people from the street,
right.
he approached them in the car when they were pulled up the gas station. And it's like...
gas station.
Petrol station, whatever, but it's for the States, so it comes with a gun or whatever, and it's like, oh, right, I know you destroyed my property. That's like a federal offence kind of thing.
It is.
Like, so, yeah, okay, that's justified. Like even though they do drive off and like
and
that,
he
that's
falls
that.
over.
Yeah.
And then, like, cause he's trying to hold on to the car door, and I'm like, you could have killed him. Like, he's only pissed off because how many times does he have to replace that mailbox now? I'd be livid. I'd be like,
you punk kids. Yeah.
But I think that... Sophie, you're so old. I think it's because they don't appreciate the value of how much that's going to cost to replace. Like, I know it's just a mailbox, but it could be 30 quid to replace it. And if he's having to do that every month, that's a lot of money.
Well, not to mention the Mitch who, like, chucks a bowling ball. I don't think he intentionally meant to smash some windscreen, but that's a hell of a lot more of a cost than...
Yeah. And I was just, like, looking at shit and I'm thinking, you're just being twats for no reason. I think the cost of life at that point, because they don't have a job, they don't have to pay for anything, they don't really understand. Like, it's like, oh, I just wake up in the morning and my breakfast is made for me, and, you know, like, all I have to worry about is if people are going to like me, and it's like, oh, such a hard life.
Just sound like a really, like, stern parent or something. Like, oh, these kids don't know how good they've got it kind of thing, or...
I'd be awful if we have a child and ours is like really whiny and like complaining about life and people are leaving me out, and I'm like, you'll want that when you get older, trust me. You'll want to be left alone. Like, just be grateful for it. Like, I don't know, like, yes, okay, it's good to have friends, it's good to have people the same age around you, and you're really lucky because you have got that, like, you've grown up with some of your school friends.
Yeah. Still good friends with them, so yeah.
Yeah, and that is rare. Like, I don't see any of mine, and I'm fine with that. Like, so it takes two different type of people.
Yeah.
And I think it's the bond that you create with the people that you're with. Like, I think for you, because it's a different circumstances, I feel like yours might have been a similar, like, your uni days would have been, not obviously like in the middle of the fields and the whole class is there, but like you said, house party equivalents would be something like that. Whereas I've never really gone to one of those and really, really had to be, well, I don't like really, really getting drunk. I think it's just a thought of being out of control and making a fool of myself. And there's several points in this film where somebody's like, oh, what's the guy called now? I kept saying, I know him. And then we Googled him and I did know him. And
oh, are you meaning...
is it Adam Goodman?
Hang on a sec. Adam Goldberg, who plays Mike, who's the one that he's... Yeah.
Isn't he a whiny twat? Like, he's the one where it's like, oh, I really want to be popular, but I don't want to commit to doing all the popular stuff. And it's like, well, you're never going to be then. You're interested, just not that. And you just need to accept who you are and kind of get on with it. But he's just such a whiny baby because, like, I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be this.
I just want to dance.
Yeah. And then that guy kind of starts on him and Pink helps him. But then he's like, all he's thinking about is wanting to punch him later.
Yeah, because it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life kind of thing.
I think he'd have been better off leaving it because he looked like more of a twat than crying after the fact. It looked like he was literally going to go cry off, like run away to his mum and cry. Like,
So if you're actually trying to think you being macho man, wouldn't pay off when, it's a battle you can't win.
Well, yeah. I can throw one punch. It's like...
Yeah, you got to reciprocate a bit more than that if you're going to be...
Have you ever been in a fight? Not... like, actual fight, like fisticuffs?
No, I'm not really good with confrontation anyway, so best avoid it when I can.
You never punched anybody?
No.
Okay. We have got some well-known actors in this. A really weird one for me is Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
First of all, it's the same thing. It's like Leo from Titanic. The voice is there, and the voice hasn't changed. Like, Matthew McConaughey's voice is his. Like, you hear it from a mile off. It's one of those iconic voices.
Yeah.
But his face, like, because he was so baby, like...
It's like his breakout role, I think. Yeah.
He had a beautiful bum in it. Like, I can't complain.
Oh, he might be interested in you then, wouldn't he? If he was like because he was like eyeing up everybody, wasn't he? Like,
yeah. To be fair though, I'm not a redhead. I think he had a thing for redheads, so just have to dye my hair ginger and be fine.
And speaking of young actors, we've also got young Ben Affleck as well.
He's a twat.
Yeah, he's absolutely like, you know, he gets his just desserts anyway for being part of this whole like freshman beat down type of thing. But
is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. He's had to do the senior year again. He's a dropout student or something.
I think so. Yeah,
that's kind of what it is. So he's already done the hitting people over the arse once, and then he's loving it. Yeah. So he's like come back again, and I think that's why people are kind of not really liking him. And he seems a bit sinister the way that he approaches it. Like other people are doing it in a bit of a jokey, friendly way.
As friendly as it can be, yeah. But he's like proper taking it super serious, like almost like a stalker serial killer element. It's like, oh, I'm gonna hunt you down type of thing, and like we'll not stop until get you type of thing, and makes like this like daily goal essentially to I'm gonna find you, and get you.
So Mitch and his little gang kind of decide to pull a prank on him later on. Mm-hmm. Mitch looks like a girl. And he plays a lot with his nose and his mouth. And I don't know if his acting skills are great.
I guess not. I don't know if that's probably one of his... I haven't seen him in anything else, I don't think. But probably his first role as well. Probably for a lot of people, I think there's probably like a starting point, really. But I guess it's that sort of awkwardness about him, I guess. So I guess it's kind of relatable in a realistic fashion.
He's then got some little friends, and I can't remember their names, but there's the blonde-haired one.
I think he's called Carl.
Yes, he is, yeah. And I feel like he's not a true friend to Mitch.
No.
It's like both of the friends, but mainly Carl. It's like, oh, well, they want you, so you go do it. Can I just go home, please? Like, kind of thing.
Yeah, like cover my back. And
and like... always kind of wants to be protected, and then when he sees Mitch kind of being like, oh, you're invited to the party, why are you kind of now? And it's like, yeah, well, you left me, so I've had to fend for myself, and now I've been given the opportunity to go to the party, but you haven't because you were a wimp and bailed out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even then, like, he did it again to the chubbier kid that was part of the friendship group.
Yeah.
Went into the woods and was like, oh, well, we were fast enough, so it's your own fault.
Yeah.
So I feel like he never really gets his comeuppance. He does in the end, kind of. Like, he was going to get hit by Ben Affleck's character, but it was all a ruse, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like he's a little weasel, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a bit, yeah. The fact that this has what seems like it's going to be like all linking to the fact that, there's a party happening at Pink... Was it Pink's house?
No.
No, it was
that stoner guy, not the long-haired one, but the one that went out with that girl. He had curly hair. I can't remember his name.
I think it was Kevin, wasn't it, or something? And, I'm forgetting all the names. There's quite a lot of people.
There is so many.
But, yeah, and then that kind of falls flat. It's like the parents are going away for the weekend and then realise, there's this keg of beer being delivered. And that, I like the fact that this guy as well is like, I'm going to make an early delivery because, I'm going to get some action later kind of thing. So everybody in this sort of like time in America is always like, the stoner culture being embracing it, like, we've got to get some poontang kind of thing and all that kind of stuff, chasing the tail, getting, having a good time, getting high and all that stuff. So that kind of backfires on them. And it's like the fact that the parents are then going, well, we're not going now. Back bags and this, no. So... the fact that it's not trying to be like all right, come on, let's try and get the parents out of the house again or something. It's like shutting that down, but then it's like, okay, right, we're going to have to relocate the party somewhere else, in an area where that in the woods kind of thing, to partaking in drugs and booze. But
yeah, I think it's quite a funny one with the parents like kind of going nope, and then people knocking at the door and then seeing the dad, and then like, gotta go.
Yeah.
So. Kind of makes it apparent that he was lying, but then it's fine. I think the parents just didn't want the house being trashed. They were happy for it.
Which again, I don't blame them, to be honest. Even as,
they were just happy for the the son to just do it elsewhere, but just not at theirs, I felt.
Yeah. Which, obviously, like, the fact that the teachers are kind of so lax as well, a bit. Like, they're just,
It doesn't even look like they're
putting
being
the feet
taught.
up. Yeah, exactly. They're kind of just letting loose, and they're kind of just, like, giving up. They just don't, they just know the kids are just going to act out, really. This sort of generation.
Is it also the fact that it's the last day of school as well, and what do you actually get
Yeah,
taught
I guess so.
on the
for
last
them.
day?
But there's probably a bit of that, but the fact that they can't let Mitch out, or they won't let Mitch out, that teacher, he's like, oh, can we, and his friends, like, can we please, like let out early? It's like, no.
You need to learn from it.
Yeah, because he knows about the whole, like, freshman beatdown.
Also, for the girls, I think it's degrading because they've put dummies in their mouths.
That's what I was on about before, like, how humiliating that is. And
then going through the car wash as well and getting washed off afterwards.
So I
think... then once it's over for the girls, it's over. Whereas the boys, it's like if you've escaped, you don't know when your beating's coming.
Yeah. I do think all of this, though, is for the director, Richard Linklater. This is almost like semi-autobiographical. I think, obviously, like, him growing up in States at that point will have been, like, imprinted on him, and he's kind of, like, relaying what did happen from his high school years. So it's probably a fairly accurate depiction. I think that's what resonates with a lot of people, obviously more in the States, that they go, oh yeah, I know relate to that. That's what happened, kind of thing. These kind of initiations.
The Americans are weird, aren't they?
Yeah.
Sorry, but
in some respects, but there's at the same time there's so much ingrained in, like, our culture, even over here, I guess, as daft as it may sound.
I guess because obviously the American films are so popular. Like, normally, not meaning back when we were younger, everything was, this has been made in America,
in Hollywood and all that. yeah.
Compared to now, when we watch things that
there's obviously a lot of, like, British films that come out, and British television that's very, very popular over in the stateside. So,
can you name a film that is to do with school environments, like apart from The Inbetweeners?
No, no, I can tell you one. If you're on about one that's in the UK,
yeah,
we covered it around after we got married. Gregory's Girl.
No.
Because that was, like, sort of a school.
No, I can't relate to that though.
Why?
Because it's not my age, is it?
Are you talking about a actual high school film?
Yeah.
That would work in a similar way to this does. Other than Inbetweeners, but
that's the only one I can think of that the British have decided to do, is The Inbetweeners. That's it.
Like a comedy.
Whereas Americans love it, don't they? They love a high school. They've got Mean Girls. That's like the main one in my head that would stand out.
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a Scott Pilgrim, kind of. It's somewhat teen though.
That's more like young. Yeah, so Superbad, definitely. Yeah. There was another one not too long ago. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like most like really young kids, but they were really, like, foul mouthed. But I can't remember what it's called.
The other one, Anna and the Apocalypse. I know.
Well, yeah, that's British, but you can't. Can you relate with that with some, like, a zombie book at Christmas time?
That's maybe.
Those are the only ones I can think of that are British related. And it'd be interesting, like, if someone did try and take on board that, like, a sort of in a similar vein of how that would play out. But would it? I don't know. Would a lot of people get it unless you were from the UK?
That's the thing,
because the States is massive, isn't it?
But still, we have to get it. Like, even if we don't understand it, it still kind of becomes part of our culture. Annoyingly, just because they're so massive, and it's like, well, to be fair, why can't they be a bit open-minded about things?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because it'd be one rule for them and for us, kind of thing. But it's like, I don't know how I just know that they'd be very sort of dismissive of, like, oh, I don't understand this kind of thing. But yet, there's plenty of, like, British films like Train Spotting and stuff that's very much, it's not a film we've covered yet, but like a very drug-orientated film that's set in Scotland, and that's quite a popular film that people...
But are the teenagers?
No, they're like irresponsible adults, I suppose, but yeah.
A part of me thinks that's the other thing with this. It's like, well, all they really do in this film is drive round, smoke weed, and drink. And first of all, it's like, well, why are you driving? Because I'm pretty sure if you're high, you shouldn't be able to drive. And I'm pretty sure if you're drinking...
We've said this before as well, like, yeah, like, what... If I thought it was 21 when you drink and thing, but yeah, everyone's like, yeah, whatever, kind of, like...
That's fine, like, but just don't drive. Like, do one or the other. Don't do both.
Well, it wouldn't be, I don't think it's very engaging if they're sitting on a bus, is it? Like...
But there's a lot of driving in this film.
Yeah.
That's all they do. Oh, what are you going to do? We're just going to get in this car and drive around. What a waste of petrol. Where the hell are you going? What are you doing? You just don't want to be in the house with your parents. So you decide that you're just going to get in your car and drive around.
Which is an interesting fact as well, because there's like no like mobile phones thing. Nobody's looking at a screen or anything like that. It's all just like interacting with face to face with one another. That's how it's alien, isn't it? Like the fact that, or even after that as well, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
As well. I forget the ginger-haired girl that brings up something about like the 70s and 80s or whatever. Like 60s were great, 70s bad. The century that they're in.
Yeah, and then it's like 80s can only get better.
Yeah, the 80s is going to be like, it's totally rad or something.
Yeah, because they'll be in the 20s.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds daft, but I think when you're in your 20s, you think, oh, great, I'm not in school anymore and all of that. But actually, your 20s are really difficult, I think, as a year. Because you just don't really know. You're going into the big world. You just don't know what you want to do. Unless you do. But normally when you're that age, you don't really know what you're wanting to do. So it is a bit tricky.
Yeah. Which is, in a way, it's kind of a sort of catch-22, I suppose, with how the school system works. Because you've got to do well in school to sort of get anywhere in your future career. So if you do piss around in school... thinking, oh yeah, it's all just about partying and everything, and then you get into the real world and it's like, oh, well, what are you actually going to do for a living? Because all them you can just do the menial jobs that nobody wants to do, like toilet cleaning and kind of working in a fast food restaurant or something. That's as high as you're going to go.
Probably in America they're already doing that, aren't they? Because that's what they normally do.
For pocket money and
everything.
But either way, I think it's reflecting on the fact that you are kind of trapped there. It's almost like in a way a prison sentence of like you're in a school, and that's why they obviously want to rebel and break out from it, because you're like, oh, we're stuck here, and the law almost says you've got to stay in school. And
it's a tricky one. I feel like they just need to teach us a little bit better things, don't they? Make it more engaging and interactive. But I think also at that age, I feel like if somebody explained to you a little bit and understood why you do these things and what they're for, what they're going to impact and help you with, like, I feel like you don't get explained to when you're in school, like, why they want to teach you these things. And I feel like if I was understood why I needed to learn it and what it would benefit me, then wouldn't you be more willing and engaged to do it? I don't know. Because I feel like if you're an adult, you want to know the whys. When you're a teenager, it's just that you have to.
Yeah.
But it's like, but why? I feel like we should become a toddler in his teenage years ago again and be like, well, why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do that? It's like Pink. He didn't want to do the football and he didn't want to sign that
document saying that, no partake in drugs. And
when the others have signed it, but they know full well they're going to carry on doing it. And it's like, and he's not even sure if he wants to be in football. He only did it to be popular. And it's like, there's a lot of stuff, I think, when you're a teenager, you just do just to fit in. And it must be exhausting.
You see, for him, in that's his, like, sort of, that's the other kind of story arc in a way. You kind of like, oh, is he going to sign the paper? Isn't he going to... I think it's as soon as it kind of like... And then he, like, chucks it away and thinking, oh, well, that's that then. That's not going to get brought back up. Somehow he kind of gets handed to him again. But he's kind of unsure on, as he's going through, like, he does want to join the team, but he doesn't want to play by the teacher's rules, essentially. Yeah. So sort of do it my way or the highway.
You don't want to be dictated to.
Yeah, should get, because he's had it all these school years. I've been under the thumb of that, but system. I know you just want to rebel against your parents and the adults in the world, because they think, oh, what do they know? Kind of. Yeah.
But then actually you grow up and you're like, oh, actually, I really understand it all now.
I think it is.
You do like a full circle of it all, don't you?
I think it's a tale as old as time. I think like.
Beauty and the Beast. I love how much notes you've written, Paul.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, as I say, because it's like I said at the start, it was kind of like you kind of like coasting through the story. There's not like a in-depth thing like, oh yeah, well this happened at this point type of thing. And I think it's just more like hanging out with these characters, I suppose. They're driving around, going to the parties and everything.
It's kind of like a breakfast at Tiffany's thing, isn't it? A little, not breakfast at Tiffany's.
It's nothing like that. I know you're going to say Breakfast Club.
Yes, I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah, which I know when we did the review of that, I said I didn't really gel with them characters. I sort of, there's nobody in this I'm going like, oh yeah, I love that particular character or anything. They're okay as a bunch. I don't hate anybody in particular other than the fact that Ben Affleck, you just hate him because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not going like, even like Matthew McConaughey is great. He's like, oh, because this is the way he talks and everything. It's like, oh, it's funny, but he comes off a bit creepy. Obviously, like what is this about? Oh, I love high schools. I get older and they stay the same age. So, yeah.
Well, they do, but they're the different high school girls.
Yes, they do. So,
he's a bit cringe.
Yeah.
Still good looking though. Well, his bum is. If I had to pick, I think I did prefer Breakfast Club. Also, 10 Things I Hate About You with Heath Ledger. That's a American school one. Yeah. And I feel like I prefer that one for moral reasons. Like, Kat is the girl who's like, well, I'm not going to do this to fit in. I'm not going to, oblige. And I think she's rebelled, and she did initially learn the hard way and then got stung by it and then was like, I'm just going to do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. And I think morally, like if I was going to have a child and show him a film, I'd probably pick that one over Dazed and Confused. Just to be like, yeah, you can be whoever you want to be and it's fine.
I forget now which, I know it's based off a Shakespeare play as well, in obviously an adaptation of that, but...
Is it?
Yeah, it's based on The Taming of the Shrew.
Okay. Well,
not that I know anything about that really. So.
I was hoping you was going to give me more than that.
Nothing I studied. But one of the other aspects is it's kind of, I don't know if you sort of agree with this, obviously being the younger sibling in your family, that because like Mitch, when he comes back at the end, and from stopping out late, and his mother's like, "Oh, I'll let it slide this time," kind of thing. But,
yeah. I always think the second youngest get away a lot more.
Because even like his sister says, like, "Oh, mum would ground me for life" or something, where she says, just gave me a really hard time from if I stayed out this late, kind of thing. Against your first child, you think you'd like...
Also, it's a girl and a boy. Like, I know that sounds bad, but a boy's not going to come home with anything.
Necessarily.
I think it does.
Because, let's say, with me and brother, I know there's a big age gap between us, but, like, initially, certain things I wasn't sort of allowed to do.
Yeah, and then he was.
After he's like, well, hang on a minute, this isn't fair.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think this really happened with me and Sarah. Just because she did all the stuff and I learnt from her doing that stuff that I was like, I don't want to do that. So, but I think because you and Joe have a bit of an age difference, I think that's where you noticed it more. Whereas me and Sarah are only like 2 years apart. Yeah. So I would see her go to like a club and then come back and be sick, and I'd be like, that doesn't look great, does it? Like, that's not very glamorous.
No.
So it kind of taught me that I didn't really want to do that. I learned through Sarah's mistakes, basically. It's like when she was in high school, my sister just fancied every boy that moved. Like, she was just one of those girls. Like, anyone who said hello to her, she's like, oh my God, they fancy me. Yeah. Like, she was that kind of girl. And bless her, she was so gullibly sweet that she would tell everybody, like, oh, I really fancy blah, blah.
Yeah, and that's never good.
And then she was like, once she'd said that to one of her friends and it said to the other, and basically everyone knew.
Yeah.
And bless her, she did this about 5 times until she learned.
5th time's the charm.
And I saw that and was like, so like when I was 13 years old, my sister was like, do you fancy anybody? I was like, nope. I'm thinking, I'm not telling you because you're going to tell whoever and they're going to know what everybody's going to know in the school. Like, I did have a crush in school, but I would never tell anybody. Like, because it's never going to happen. So there's no point in them knowing. And then obviously I had a boyfriend a lot sooner than my sister did, so that really ragged her rotten. And I only went out with him because it was like, well, somebody's asked me, and no one else is asking, so I'll go out with you. And I think
this is what I'm saying about like what you think is when you're a kid, and it's like, oh well, I guess
you'll do, I guess. Like, I never even fancied him until he spoke to me and said, do you want to go out? And I was like,
well, you think it can only get better, maybe.
well, it did, darling.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, obviously at that point, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, you'll do, I guess. Well, I don't know. I wasn't really craving a boyfriend because, like, when did you first get a girlfriend?
It would have been quite late bloomer really with all that. So I think it wasn't until maybe 16.
Really?
Yeah, so quite.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. But I think it's slightly different for girls as well with that. It's easier to...
I guess. Well, it was quite funny because he did ask me, can I have your phone number? And I went, what for? Like, literally, that's what I said. Like, what for? It's like,
not a mobile number though. It was actually a house number.
It was
as
a
well,
house number,
like in the old days. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went, what for? And he was like, to ring you. And I went, why? Such a catch, aren't I?
Yeah.
Probably playing hard to get, but I didn't. I wasn't.
Yeah,
I was like,
not in like a high school way. Like, oh, well, maybe.
No, it was just like a why.
What you want that for?
But maybe that's why I was more intriguing because I was like, well, I don't get it.
Playing hard to get, eh?
I do sometimes wonder, like, what we would have been like if we were in school together. Like, technically, you'd have been two. Would you have been 2 years above?
No, 3. Oh, 3 is difference between. And so.
Is that how it works though? Because you're a baby, would you have been 3 years, or would you have been?
Oh.
Because you're a summer baby, aren't you? So you would.
Yeah, but I just would have got in to the.
So you wouldn't have been in the same age group as my sister because she's. No.
Don't think so.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So you'd been. I don't think you'd have even looked
No.
at me, Paul, in school. Because you just got picked on if you dated somebody 3 years younger than you.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
Before we wrap up, anything else to?
I don't think so, but I just got really excited knowing that you have to score it first because you haven't seen this either, and I keep forgetting that you haven't because
you feel like it's something I should have done.
Yeah. So I feel like you've missed it. Like, I don't know. Obviously, you would have been only about 4 when it came out.
No, I know that, but obviously, like for later on, there's a similar like high school film that's over on the shelving over there. It's called Fast Times at Richmond High, and that's kind of like, but that's a bit more exaggerated, like high school story of stuff.
Not a musical.
No, it's not a musical.
Not like Grease.
Or High School Musical.
I've never watched that. That passed me a bit. I was a bit. I think I'd got to a point where I was a little bit older for it when it came out.
Too mature for that now. But the other thing I want to bring up before we go to the scoring is the soundtrack, because my God, there's so many good songs in this.
I thought you were going to say "Don't Climb Up a Pylon" because that's what I was thinking.
Well, no.
Yes, the soundtrack is very good. Right. We have Cherry Bomb, which always reminds me of you. So I feel like we should do something with that.
Okay.
We have School's Out for Summer
from Alice Cooper.
We've got something from Kiss. I can't remember what that one was, but
I want to rock and roll all night, and party every day.
And party every day.
And then as we were going through, it's like there's a lot of songs that are on Guitar Hero 3 here, which you will know because you will have played. So
I was such a Guitar Hero hardcore person, and that's where I got quite a bit of my alright music from.
Yeah. So also they've got like Black Sabbath, Aerosmith at the beginning as well.
Oh yeah, because the biggest thing in the summer this time is getting Aerosmith tickets, wasn't it? To the gig. Yeah. No, the soundtrack is really good, and like, I was already thinking, like, when we're doing our story posts and stuff, like, oh, I don't have to fight you for one because there's so many to pick.
Slow ride, take it easy.
So that is off Guitar Hero. That I remember that.
Yeah,
I can actually see the screen because then it does a.
So, to my score. And as we're going through the film, watching it first time, I was like, the plot does seem kind of like meandering, really, like what's going to be like the final outcome of all this, really. Are they going to learn any lessons as such, or something like that? But it doesn't seem like there was like a overall, like, oh, I learned today that da 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 da. And then obviously thinking on it a bit more, I think, okay, maybe that's not the point of what the film was going for. It's more just almost like a slice of life angle of what it was like in the 70s for high school kids. And it probably means a lot more to Americans than it does us British folk. I will say, as I just mentioned before, like a moment ago, how the soundtrack was absolutely killer, like top notch. Points from that, and it feels like it's one of those instances where the soundtrack is almost better than what the film is. Mm-hmm. Not to say I didn't really totally enjoy it at all, but I just don't feel like it doesn't really have much significance to me that I can relate to that in a way exactly. Also, I did like have house parties, as you mentioned, and stuff, but not like smoking weed or anything like that, and
good boy.
doing anything wild and crazy like that. Just, but much tamer and not
climbing a pylon.
Yeah. So for now, I'm going to put it at 7.5. 0.5 is more because of the music. Really.
I think we're on a bit of a same wavelength. I've been toying between a 7 or an 8. And a part of me thinks, is it going to be one of those that I'm going to go back to? And I think this is where I'm trying to judge my score a little bit. Yep. Because Mean Girls, I will go back every time. And I don't care how many times I've seen it. The original, sorry, not the I haven't seen the new one.
we haven't covered that one yet.
But I will go back every time, and I will. Like, there's something about it, and even though I know it, like, You Go, Clay and Coco, and stuff like that, but it's still, I think because I've grown up with it as well, I value it, and there is a good moral too with the film. Like, there is, like, overall, there is a really good outcome, and there is a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Is there in this, or, like you said, is it just a capture of life? Like, it's
vibing with them, yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that one that I said that it's to do with a load of boys, and it's summer, and
Stand By Me.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's a film I've seen. It's not left me...
Left an impressionable impact, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember this like nostalgia kind of trip or anything like that.
And it's not like that person's an amazing character, like out of Lord of the Rings, and I love Sam. Like,
right, okay.
You know, there's nothing like that where I'm like, oh, I really love that person. I'm rooting for them. I want the best for him.
Yeah.
I know Lord of the Rings is a bit of a different scenario.
I thought when you're going to, I think you're going to go to Perks of Being a Wallflower there, or something about the school.
True.
Sorry.
But, you know, like, there's no character I'm fully, like, invested in and engaged in.
Same, yeah.
And yet again, like, because there is so many people, I kind of linked it back to a little bit like Love Actually, like, where you've got loads of scenarios happening. However, I remember the people's names. I'm engaged in their stories. Yeah. This just kind of blurred a little bit. And I think I'm going to have to agree with you with the 7.5. I was considering an 8, but then it's like, my heart tells me I can't. Like, I physically can't give it an 8, even though I can't really say what's wrong with it. I just feel like there's better films out there that do the same thing. And the soundtrack's great because it reminded me of Guitar Hero when I was a teen, so it did bring me back. That's the only kind of, like, it's perfect. But I enjoyed it, and I don't think I hate it. Just, am I absolutely in love with it and head over heels? No.
Yeah, same in a way.
I don't think I'd rewatch it. Like, I've seen it.
I might do because of the fact of it being
the soundtrack.
The soundtrack, and though I can listen out on Spotify or something, but because it's the early work of the director who obviously, as I said, has done the Before trilogy, and he's obviously like, this is like, I'd say almost a day in the life of, as opposed to the other ones where they're obviously like spanned over long periods of time. Yeah. And you may not remember from
I would love it if they did redone that, like, before sunrise, after, and like going, oh, right, okay, here's what they're like in 5 years' time. Or 10 years' time.
No, that would be like his gimmick then.
I quite like that. I wouldn't mind that at all.
No, I don't think that would have worked so well.
No, it would have done for me. Because that's one of the reasons why I love that series so much.
I was saying that, before you interrupted me, the fact that you may not remember from, in the early days of our relationship, we watched a film called Boyhood.
No, I remember.
You do? where that was.
It was like I remember the disc because he's laid on grass.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Blue
Yeah,
top on.
yeah. So, and that was spanning over however many years of his life growing up, really, and that was the same director.
I'm sorry. You're making me laugh because you look really shocked that I could describe the
normally
cover.
like what? I don't understand. Like some films, you're like, oh, we saw that last week. Oh, did we? And then something that was like many moons ago. But
some leave an impact with me, some don't.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
Like this will probably be one of them. Like I'll be dazed and confused, and I'll be dazed and confused, wondering what it is.
That's fair enough, but we gave it a try, didn't we? And
yeah, it wasn't the worst film I've seen.
No, it's not. No, it's not by any means. But I think it just has not an impression of high school life in that sense for us, unfortunately. But that's on the wrong continent. That's all.
I guess. Oh, that they are.
Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode. And if you like to listen to some of our other episodes, you can do so by going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. And as always, we'd really appreciate it if you would give us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, and wherever else to do the scoring system.
So, if you'd like to follow us on social media, then you can, under the handle SP_filmviewers. So we are on TikTok, Twitter, Threads, Instagram. Also, just to give Paul some big-headed growth, he has now got a Instagram page that is to do with all his amazing artwork. So you see our little faces that are cartoonised. That's all Paul's hard work drawing. So please, if you do appreciate his art and want to boost his page, he has got an Instagram page under the handle Paul R. Parks Art. So go give him a like and follow and give him some love on there as well, please.
Yep, thank you very much for that little plug.
You're welcome.
And we'd like to thank the Patreons, of course, for their continuing support with the show. It means a lot. And if you would like your name read out, as we're going to do in a moment, and have the opportunity to vote for a movie we watch once a month, then all you need to do is go to patreon.com/SPFilmviewers to take advantage of that. And now we're going to read out the people's names who are currently in our SP family.
So, firstly, we'll just go with my mum. We've got Alex and Shani, who are on Instagram, under the handle Desperately Seeking Username and SDOG.
We've got Jonesy and Emma, who are at Weight Loss Jonesy and M_Hayton on Instagram.
We've got Gren, who's under the handle CGrenDraw on Instagram. And then going into our podcast friends, we've got Mark from 100 Things We Learned from Film.
Ben from Ben Push Pull Health, formerly Film Vloggers. And Nico from The Good, The Bad and The Weird podcast. So thank you everybody for...
Yes, always appreciate your support and your input. We definitely need your help because I'm sure there's a poll going for the next one, isn't there, that they're going to have voted already for.
So you kind of already sort of know what
I do.
that is. So,
I'm aware of what's coming ahead.
But, yeah.
Thanks, Patreons. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's Paul's.
So if you do want to know what that is, then you maybe should join the Patreons.
Yeah, it's true. I wasn't doing it for that reason, but that's a good incentive.
So thank you very much for listening to this episode once again. And we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, hi, Matthew McConaughey. Is that what we're going for?